Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to this episode. Today I am catching up with my friend Travis from Squeak Balloon Decor. And as always, these throwback episodes are brought to you by Premium Conwin. They will be sending Travis an inflator as a thank you for his time sharing what he has learned with all of our listeners. So thank you so much to Premium Conwin. Travis and I are catching up today about our marquee rentals that he and I both purchased from the same business. We have been renting them for about the same amount of time, and we are getting candid with a very honest episode about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this is a two-part episode. The first section, we are chatting about all the things we love, the business it's brought in, the look, the overall appeal, and then we're going to switch gears and talk about some of the not so good things. So storage, loading in and out of vehicles, some of the things we didn't think about when we purchased these marquees. It's essentially been like a whole new business, and we're sharing all about it. So if you are new to the marquee business or you're thinking about purchasing marquees, this will be a good, honest episode for you to kind of evaluate the pros and the cons. So thank you again to Premium Conwin and to Travis for coming on this throwback episode. So let's get into it right after this quick break. Welcome to the U Glue Hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hi there, this is Jen from Central Illinois Balloon Decor. I'm about 2.5 hours south of Chicago. I wanted to call in with a little tip that my husband actually discovered, since he helps me sometimes with installs on the weekends whenever he can. We recently just got a 2015 Tahoe. Before we were using a Honda CRV, and we have two littles. And so now with the Tahoe, we're able to fold down that third row. But I wanted to share one of the tips that we have figured out, since we do use a lot of framework for our installations, whether it be a hoop or like one of the narrow arches. So what we do is we do not disassemble the entire thing. We just break it apart basically in 2 to 4 pieces, whatever will fit with that third row down. And then we actually leave the screws about halfway in. That way we don't have to bag them up separately or risk losing them. So whenever we go to throw it in the back of the car, we put the screw exactly where it's supposed to go and screw it about halfway in, just so it's stable enough and tight enough to stay in there. That way you don't risk losing it, and you save time when you go to break down or set up. Also, we've noticed that sometimes having it that way, you don't put it together a wrong way. Because if anybody has ever done framework with a lot of different pieces, you may know that some bars or pieces don't fit as well if they're not in the correct spot. So, hope this tip helps. Thanks. Bye.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, U Glue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on U Glue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome back. Travis, you are our throwback episode. We are catching up. Last time we talked, we had just started our marquee journey together, and today we are catching up about how that's going. You and I both have our full set of marquee rentals, and we are going to be catching up. Before we do that, a shout out to Premium Conwin that will be providing you with an inflator as a thank you for sharing your knowledge and coming back on the episode on these throwback weeks. Let's jump right in. Let's do a reintroduction in case someone missed your first episode and doesn't know who you are.
All right, I'm Travis Green, and my company is Squeak Balloon Decor. I'm in Ankeny, Iowa, which is Des Moines, Iowa, the capital city of Iowa. I've been in the business for about almost 4 years now, I think, and that's my business.
Yep. And you also have another business. You have a floral
Oh,
business that your
yes.
wife runs.
Yep, we started the balloon business, and then she wanted to do something creative, so we bought a flower shop as well for her, and so it's wild.
And now we have these rentals.
Yep.
We have the marquees, the good, the bad, the ugly is what we're sharing today. Because Travis, you and I, we talk pretty frequently, and we actually got to meet in person, which was fun. You were out here, so we got to go to lunch. Um, but we talk because we're kind of on the same timeline trajectory for our marquee rentals. So we
Yep.
kind of face some of the stumbling blocks at the same time and kind of help each other. And we got ours from the same manufacturer. So we will give a shout out to them. Cedar and Spice is who made ours. Um, but if you are close to Travis or you're close to me, they're not going to make them for you. We have a nice little agreement with them. But anywhere else in the country, if you are looking to get marquees made, they are taking just a couple new customers. They do make them, I want to say by hand, but like professionally. They're like a professional production
Yeah,
company. They
they're
have like
good.
yeah,
They've got a good facility, and
and they use like a CNC machine. So I don't want you to think
yeah,
that we had like some guy in his garage using like a jigsaw to make these. Like they're professionally made, but they're made by hand. Really good
and they're wood.
quality. They are wood, but I think a nice point of distinction is that they are curved. They have like the curved edges. They're not like the
Yep.
block letters. They're made of wood, but they made the wood bend. I don't know how. It's magic.
Yep.
They did a really good job. Um, and we are going to get into first the things that are working out well, and then the things that are not working out so well, and how we've kind of come up with some strategies to potentially troubleshoot. Before we take a quick break, what's your snap judgment of these marquees? Do you love them, hate them? Are they doing well for you?
They're doing well for me. I love them. I want to say I love them for the visual impact that it brings to my setups, but there are those pitfalls too.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Okay, let's take a quick break and then let's start with the lovey-dovey, things that we like about them. And then we're going to be really honest about the things we don't like about them because I think this could devastate a business if you just like get these without
jump
thinking
into
about
it.
it. Yeah, like there's a lot to consider and everyone and their mom is getting marquees right now. So I'm going to be really honest about the things you should think about before spending a bunch of money. Let's
Hmm.
take a quick break and then talk about the good. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Having a Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. Having a Party Wholesale is on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients from top brands like Tuftex, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, Sempertex, Premium Conwin, and introducing Brookloon, a new balloon line created by the Having a Party family. They've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at havingaparty.com. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the marquees. Let's talk about the things we like about them. Why don't you go first and share your overall opinion about what's working?
So what's working for me is it really helped me get into I was kind of into the corporate world before it, but with these letters, a lot of corporate businesses, if they're doing their holiday parties and such, they want them, or just even like conferences, they have like usually a hashtag or a catchword, and so it's nice to have that on the stage
And
or wherever.
can I put you on the spot? I didn't ask if you were comfortable sharing this, but what are you renting each digit for?
$55.
Okay.
You like, and if it's like a long word, or they want multiple words, or they're just ordering a bunch of balloons, I might cut them a little deal on the price of those letters.
Yeah, I started at 50 and then everyone told me I was way under, which I didn't know. I don't think I don't think my Alpha Lit, my local people rent them for very much. And they're like an hour and a half away from me, so I don't feel like
Hmm.
I've cut into their business at all. Um, but then it was so much work. Now I'm up to 75, but I've definitely felt it slow. Like that definitely seems to
Hmm.
be pumping the brakes. But
Yeah.
it is good. It is a good draw for corporate. I also feel like it's a really straightforward item to quote. You know, it's like, oh, we're celebrating a 50th anniversary. It's like, how about a 50? Or it's like, we're
Yeah.
celebrating, our company picnic. And it's like, how
Fourth
about
of
the name of
July.
how about the name of your
Yeah.
company? How about 4th of July? Like it's a very
Yeah.
easy thing to come up with a design for.
Hmm.
Um, and like you mentioned in the intro, or maybe it was this section, the visual impact, I don't think you can really beat it.
Yeah. It does provide a very good anchor
Yeah, no, I
to
like
a
that.
room or a party. So that's what I like with them.
Yeah, I've done the same like stacked, which let's talk about the stacked and we'll save that for the part we hate. So I did the stacked, so prom and then on top of 2024 and with balloons on the side. And I can't think off the top of my head. It was like $1,000, $1,500. I mean, a good ticket item.
Yeah.
But and it literally looked like $1 million. Like those letters and the size and the height, and then with the balloons, like it looks so
Hmm.
good. And I put it in the closest thing we have to like a convention center, like
Hmm.
huge, 30-foot tall ceilings, this massive conference center, and like nothing else was going to make an impact in that room. Like
Yeah,
you could have done arches and centerpieces, and it wouldn't have made as much of an impact as that one focal point in the corner.
that's the thing. Like besides like the letters and versus like a column, a 6 foot column in a 30 foot tall ceiling looks like 2 feet
Yeah.
basically. And with the letters that they're lit, they shine. And there's a picture on my Instagram. It's like it says suits and sneakers. It was for a charity for something, and they wanted it. It was stacked, and it was like probably the room was a big room, and it was on the total opposite wall. But like when they walked in, that was the first thing everybody saw from the doors all the way across the room. Just because it's bright and when you stack them, it's like a big wall basically, kind
Yeah,
of. So
I have said this a few times because, well, originally I bought mine for my really big install, right? Like my
yep.
six-figure job. And I felt kind of good because like they paid for themselves just at that one event, but it wasn't just because of the letters. It was like they served multiple purposes. They were lighting, they were the words, and they were like structural. Like you could hang a lot of balloons on them instead of
Yep.
having all this other framework. So they really do kill a lot of birds with one stone. Like they
Hmm.
serve multifunctional, purposes. Um and I feel like they're an easy sale. Like I feel like people who
Yeah.
want
Oh
them
yeah.
really want them.
And you can get away with like putting balloons all the way around them, or even with just like I call them chunks, you call them nuggets, just a nugget or two on one of the sides, and it
Yeah.
still works.
Yeah, I mean, because if you're doing balloons all the way around, you're getting into like the multi-thousand-dollar territory. Like it's a lot of balloons because they're three
Yeah.
feet. Ours are 3 feet tall. If they're stacked, they're like 6.5 feet tall. And like
Hmm.
I mean, all of a sudden you're doing a 9 foot display. Like it's really tall. So I usually just flank the two sides if it's stacked, or I'll go kind of
Yeah.
above it if it's just on the ground. Um, have you broken even yet?
See, I'm not as good as in the bookkeeping as you, so
No,
I
I'm
want to
not either.
say
I'm not either.
I want to say I probably have, and I have, um, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
imagine I have.
See, I'm the same way because I'm like, well, I had that one big job that essentially paid for them
Yeah.
all. But then if I'm looking at what I've actually made back on just letters alone, I haven't even come close. Like I haven't rented them very much. But it's
Mm,
hard because it's like, well, maybe I wouldn't have made that sale at all. And yes, they had the letters, but they also booked the balloons and they also had a different
yeah.
arch. And like they came for the letters, but they stayed for the balloons basically. So I
Yep.
think it's really hard to look at it like black and white.
A sale just for the letters, but like I did a install for a college here in Iowa, and it was like a 3 week long time period that they wanted the letters. So the way I do it is I charge them the initial 55 a letter basically, and then an extension on those letters for that 3 weeks, and then they had balloons around it. So that was a really good invoice for me, if you will. So
Yeah.
um and
I see,
then
and I didn't even think to do that. That's how out of it I am. I had well, they didn't end up booking, and I'm glad, but I had an event that I quoted for like a week, and I it because I'm so
mm,
new to these letters, it didn't occur to me because like if you're keeping an arch for a week, I'm not billing you per day for those balloons. It's like you purchased the balloons, they're
yeah,
yours now. But the letters, I didn't even think about the fact it's like, wait a minute. If you have them, I can't rent them to other people. So like I should be
yeah.
billing you daily. So that was I'm glad that they canceled. But yeah, that's one thing it never even occurred to me. It's like, wait, a rental item per day, obviously, but it's all new.
And like for me, it was with that particular job is it it said cyclones, and was I going to rent the like whatever combination of letters cyclones in those 2 weeks? Probably not, but potentially yes. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just charged them. I think it was like 15 extra dollars a day, which I don't know what it equated to, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's smart. I have one that's waiting to finalize and I'm hoping I can get a week long rental. That'd be great. Um,
Hmm.
a couple other positives that I just want to touch on that I think are specific to us. First of all, like we bought them from a local manufacturer. So like you have purchased additional ones since then, which I think is a value. I
Yep.
think sometimes but people buy the set and they're like, that's it. Like they'll have to wait 2 months to get a replacement letter from overseas. We can just kind of like
Yeah.
in a pinch drive a couple hours and get one. And you've done that. What are some of the
Oh,
add-ons that you've gotten?
well, let me back up that a little bit. So when I started looking for the letters, I hadn't talked to you yet, and I was calling all like, and I had worked prior to balloons. I had worked in a sign shop and all that. Des Graphic design is my background, so I had some connections to sign people, and even the sign people didn't understand what I wanted. Even I showed them pictures, and they're like, "Well, how are you going to mount them to a building?" And I'm like, "I'm not mounting them to a building. I'm just setting them on the ground, and they're going
Yeah.
to plug together." Anyways, so everywhere I called was like, I called some guy in Texas, I called a guy in Arizona, and then there was a place in like China I called, and luckily I came across Cedar and Spice, who you suggested, and that makes it nice because I have had where I had a client in my first batch of letters, I didn't get a hashtag, which I don't know why, and he needed a hashtag, and I didn't have one, so I said I don't have one, and he's like, all right. So he went somewhere else.
Oh,
But then I,
interesting.
but I went, I messaged them and asked them if they could do it, and they were able to. So I messaged him right away, and he came back to me. So that was good. And so then I had the hashtag, and then my wife with the flower shop, she wanted a flower made for the window. So they custom made a flower, and I don't know how they did it because it's full of curves and
Yeah.
turns, all that. And then I needed another S, because this particular install needed four S's and I only had three. And so they were able to make one within probably 2 weeks or so, maybe a little longer. And so that worked. They're That's the thing about local, is the person that's making it, and you can actually talk to them, and they can give you a real timeline.
Yeah. Well, and if you break one, like you have a
Yeah.
plan. I'm like, what if you ordered from overseas and you break your hashtag and like somebody has rented it for 2 weeks from now? I guess you'd borrow
Yep.
from someone else. But I
Yep.
do
I'm
think that's
coming to
an advantage.
Wisconsin. I'm going to borrow from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I borrowed from them actually. I like the first month I had these things, I double booked. Um, we'll talk about that too, our
Yep.
spreadsheet that we worked out. We got to connect people with Tiffany. But the other thing I think is the best benefit of buying local or buying from a maker, like a manufacturer, is like we're not franchisees. We are not licensed. We are not working with anybody. So we're completely independent. So I'm not paying someone for their branding. I'm not having to like represent a different brand. And that's important to me. I know a lot of people are buying into different franchises, and I'm actually trying to get one of them on the podcast to talk about the advantages of that, because there are some shortcuts and advantages of working with a franchise or like a bigger company. But I
Mhm.
personally I like being on my own. There was some figuring it out in the beginning, like how many of each letter and where do I get these and all of that.
Yeah.
But I like that they're mine, free and clear, and I'm not paying anybody anything to, license their brand.
And that's what all started me on to the letters is when I would go to a site visit or something, I'd be like, "Ooh, those letters would look great there. I have this guy, we can rent these letters from him and put them there." So I was doing that multiple times, and it felt like I was cutting into my budget or cutting into their budget, giving it to another
Right.
company.
Looping in a third party that they were,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like when like Alphalet, they didn't have any part of the sale. I'm selling it for them, and I really don't get a cut of that. So
Yeah.
that was what made me want my own. So now I just get the whole pie, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's take a quick break. And then let's get into the things that we're struggling with. Again, I'm going to be really honest. I'm struggling with mine quite a bit. So maybe it's because I'm a woman. I'm not, moving these things around is really, really hard for me. So we're going to talk about that as soon as we come back.
Are you driving to do an installation right now? Have you ever had that experience of while you're driving, your phone rings and it's a great potential customer, but you're on the middle of the freeway and you can't take the details of the order down, and so you're really worried you're going to forget everything? Well, there's a really great way to solve this. It's by having an answering service. If you'd like to learn more solutions to the balloon decor business problems you face, then come on over to balloonsuite.com. We have a blog full of expertise, and we offer packages that help you get your sales on track to reach your goals. Come on over, learn more, and you can subscribe at balloonsuite.com.
All right, welcome back. We've talked about the things we like, and they're, pretty obvious, like money, being in control of our own bookings.
Hmm.
We've talked about some of the things we knew were going to suck, like storage, right? Like storage is the big one. Like,
Yeah,
where are you going to put these things? You have a storage unit. I fit all of mine in my shop, and they actually fit pretty well. Like if you have the shelves, they're fine. But now, since actually using them, like I am running into some other issues. And the biggest for me is the labor. Like it is hard. It is hard to move these things around. The stacking rack is a beast. Um, is it
hmm.
harder than you anticipated?
I would say yes, and yeah, let's just go with yes. Getting them, for me, the day of an event, I have to go to my storage unit, load them into my van. So, that's extra time actually going somewhere away from my house where I have my balloon studio, if you will.
Hmm.
And, but then like loading them into the building, finding where they want them to go. There has to be power where they're putting them
I
because
can't
a lot
believe
of,
how many people don't understand that. They want to put them in like the middle of a field. I'm like, okay, are you going to run electric? They're like, for what? I'm like, to plug these
yeah,
in. Like, they think they're battery powered or something. Like, I'm like, that's the
yeah,
whole point. I even had some people do it in the middle of the day and they were like, well, it's not even going to be dark. So let's just not plug them in. And I was like, that's literally the entire point. But okay. Like, they were just off in the middle of their
yeah, they
graduation ceremony.
I had a graduation party that they just did them off, and I was like, for me, I want it to look cool,
Yeah,
but
bizarre.
like, if you're good with it, then all
Right,
right.
right, exactly. Yeah, loading in for me is really hard, even though you recommended a really good cart. But I feel like there's stairs or like they don't fit through
Yeah,
doorways. Like it's really hard. It's a struggle for me to do it by myself. And most of the time I am by myself on installs. So I think I
yeah,
need to reevaluate not only how I install these, but the other hands down worst part is going back for them.
for sure. We can Let me go back to the loading in part real quick before we get into the going back. Transportation for me is like I've complained to you about the transportation part just because I put them in my van basically face down, and then I'm driving and there's bumps. I try to put moving blankets in between them, and if there's bumps, they just hit each other, and then the bulbs break, and it makes me cringe every time.
Yeah, and ours have little feet. I've actually started taking the
Yeah.
little feet off because like they make it harder to stack and
Yep.
they don't fit as closely to each other. Um, which yes, transportation is terrible. Getting them in and out of the van, especially like our M's are like 4 feet wide. I feel like they're
They're big.
massive. I had a
M's and
wedding.
W's.
I had a wedding and it was Matt and Emma. So I did three M's to a second floor. I was like, I'm gonna die. But again, then you set it up and it looks amazing and you forget. It's like
Yeah.
childbirth. You never forget how bad it is because the pictures look really good.
Oh,
But
it
yes.
was terrible for me, childbirth.
But loading in like the actual van is hard. I have not cracked that code yet. I feel like I need to almost build in like rails or something so I can put them standing upright and like leaning. I'm not sure, but I haven't seen anybody crack this code. Like no matter the brand, no matter the style,
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's just kind of stacking them, like throwing them in their vans willy-nilly and just keep crossing their fingers. The other thing that
That
happened to me too, loading in and out was my plugs broke off for the first time. So I was at a graduation party about to plug in my marquees and it was just a little cord. Like there was no
Yep.
plug and I was like, "Wait, what is happening?" Luckily, I went to my van and I found it. It was just
Found
like
it.
off in the van and I was able to rewire this thing on the fly, which sucked. I was like ready to just refund them. I was like, I don't have a plan, but luckily I was able to put the plug back in. They're called vampire plugs, which I didn't know, but
Hmm.
after researching, they just kind of like bite into the electrical cord. So that's like a good and a bad. Like it sucks that I've had damage because like these things get
Yeah.
busted. Like people throw them around, like even though you tell them not to move them, they do, and they break. But because of that, I actually know how to do them now. Like I know how to
Yeah.
replace the sockets. I know how to replace the outlets. Like I don't think other people necessarily know how to do that. So you would just be in a pinch. Maybe theirs
Mm.
never break, but I don't know. People are rough with mine.
For me, that part where it's like troubleshooting on the job, like on site, that's where I kind of have trouble with. I have some employees from the flower shop that could help me do installs, but I get worried about them getting on site and a plug being gone.
I
And
have the same thought. Yeah.
I know she could do it, but it's like them troubleshooting on site. I it would just my anxiety would be through the roof.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Um, and I'm trying to think of ways. I'm gonna get, I haven't done this yet, but I'm gonna get like those little clips that you put like Christmas lights in.
Yeah,
And I want to put those on the back of each marquee so that I can
and then
like tidy
loop
up
the
the cords. Yeah, and
yeah.
keep them secure. I think that'll help. Um, Another thing that I have on my to-do list is I have stickers that say my business name and rental item in bold, and I'm going to put one of those on the back of everything because so far mine are unlabeled. They're just like not marked. Like someone could just take it and
Mhm.
never know where it came from. I've been pretty lucky, but I do need to do some like maintenance. I haven't even put mine in alphabetical order yet. They're all just like jumbled
Oh,
up on the
really?
shelves. Yeah. So I'm just like hunting for the letters because I got them and then I used them like the next weekend. So I never had
Yeah.
time to like do the full inventory. So I need to do some of that organizational stuff.
Luckily, I have a wife that's pretty organized like that, and she got me organized into my storage unit. If she went up there right now, she'd probably be mad because the storage unit looks like a bomb went off, but it is what it is. So,
Yeah. One of the things I was really worried about, which actually hasn't been an issue, was inventory, in terms of like double booking. And we can't
hmm
take any credit for this. And I don't even know if she's offering it, but we worked with Tiffany because Tiffany from Confetti Castle got her marquees at the same time. Um, so a few of us kind of met and figured out pricing and contract language and all this
yeah,
stuff. And one of the things that her team figured out was a spreadsheet that kind of manages inventory. So I don't know if she's making that available to people, but maybe anyone listening should hound
yeah,
her
it's
and try to
that
buy
that's
it.
that's pretty legit. It works well. You
But it is, I
basically
mean, it is
just
just a spreadsheet with formulas.
yeah, but I
I'm
don't
not
know how to do
taking,
that
yeah,
stuff. So
exactly. I'm not taking credit for it. I know it's possible, but I was really concerned about double booking, but like it hasn't been an issue at all, which has been
yeah,
good. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm mixed. I definitely wouldn't say I regret buying them, but I wouldn't say
no,
like you've got to get these. So I'm really on the fence. I just wanted to have an episode where we were very honest about the good and the bad. I would say they're equal. Like for every positive, there is a negative, and there are days where I'm sweating and like cursing these letters, but um,
hmm
I'm not doing them every single day. I know some people are. Mine
Yeah.
are not as frequent, but they have been a new way to sell and a new item to sell. But the pickup sucks. I need to hire someone to go and do my strikes
Yeah.
because it's either that night or it's the next morning, and no matter when it is, it's an extra
It
trip that you
sucks.
just like don't
Yeah.
usually have with balloons.
Yep. One thing we didn't talk about for good with these is when a company just for a party just orders just the letters. It sucks that they're not doing balloons, but it's also kind of a breeze when you just have to take like baby to a baby shower and just set them up, plug them together, and leave.
Right. Yeah. I
It,
mean, I think that's probably the best thing is that there's no prep, there's no
yeah.
materials, there's no waste. Like you're making 100% profit on every
Yep.
single install. Yeah. I have very few of those. I don't know that I've actually had any, honestly, where it's just been the letters.
But then you still have to go back. That's the
I
no matter
know.
what.
That's what I awkwardly like left my card. I was out to dinner the other day and I awkwardly left my card with our server because he was like so nice and he was a guy home for summer. And I was like, if you want a side job, and then he didn't contact me and I felt really embarrassed. But I am trying to find someone that I could send out to do my teardowns and I'm just trying to figure it all out later and just move forward, like figure out how to pay them, how to negotiate it, how to explain where to
Yeah,
go. Even more and
that's
more,
a good.
my husband's been doing it, and a tip is I will just like leave a pin on the map and share that with him so he knows like exactly where they are, like in the middle of a field behind a high school or something, so he can find
Oh,
them. So sharing a pin location is really
that's
nice.
a good tip right there.
Yeah.
That is another good thing you just said is like you got the thing you got to find is a person that likes to be up at night
Yeah.
or that doesn't have obligations at night. Like it's hard for me to put my kids to bed and be like, "Oh, I've got to go," and or during bedtime, I've got to go downtown Des Moines and pick them up and just leave my wife with the kids and it's
Yeah.
just
Especially when like their parties don't end till 11 or 12. Like
yeah.
it's hard. And one of the things that I've started putting boundaries, I will no longer do outside installs, which I know a lot of people want, but I just like I'm not going to do it because then with the rain, it's always, will it or will it rain, won't it rain? And when you're doing them on the grass, it's unlevel. So I
Yeah.
just decided if I lose business to that, it's fine. I'm not going to do it. And what's the other thing I won't do? Oh, outside of my county. So I am only now doing them inside my county, which is probably like a 30-minute radius, because I was getting requests for the city, like Milwaukee, which is an hour away. And knowing that I have to then go back and get them, I'm like, that's a 4-hour commitment right there. So like no matter how big your order is, it's not worth me being in the van an hour there, an hour back, and then for takedown an hour there and an hour back. So I'm just like not
Yep.
doing it. If the demand gets, insane, maybe, but right now with a baby, it's just like I'm just not doing it. So I know I'm losing business to that, but I just
Yeah.
like I have to be okay with that.
I was dumb and booked at the end of this month I booked one somewhere an hour and a half away,
Oh my gosh.
which I don't know what I was thinking, but it's a good invoice, but not like with the time that I have to I'm probably just gonna stay down there for the day. It's on
Yeah.
a golf course, so I might golf. I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're learning. Um,
Yeah.
all right, let's take a quick break and then finish up with our final questions. Hey, listeners, before we wrap up today's episode, let's talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Balloon Guild. Do you ever see amazing balloon decor online and wonder, how did they make that? The Balloon Guild is revolutionizing the industry by standardizing recipes, SOPs, and offering unparalleled training. Their mission? To elevate balloon artists worldwide, ensuring efficiency, profitability, and unparalleled professionalism. For business owners and their teams, the Balloon Guild isn't just a resource, it's a game changer for growth and development. For me, it's been the ultimate shortcut in finally getting things out of my head and onto paper, so I'm not making things up on the fly, and so my team can work together to create consistent, fast decor. Visit their platform today at theballoonguild.com or by using the link in the show notes. New recipes and resources are released every month. All right, welcome back. Let's wrap this one up with some light questions. The first is where you love to vacation. What's your favorite spot?
So my favorite spot for vacation would probably be that I've been is the Cayman Islands. That was an amazing trip. I just love I just like white sand beaches, and put me in a pool around a bar, I'm good to go for the day.
Nice.
And usually those are kid-free trips. So, but yeah, if we have the kids, then probably like Kansas City or Minnesota for the Great Wolf Lodge. Those are fun too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Indoor water parks. Perfect. Next one. This one is hard to answer on the spot. But what is one of your favorite things that you have purchased, like a tangible, something you
Hmm.
bought, in the last 6 months, and it does not have to do anything with balloons?
I don't know if it's tangible, but we just redid our garage, and we got the floors epoxy coated and flaked,
Oh yeah,
and then we textured and painted the walls. I put a TV up in there, and we have like wicker furniture that we can slide out into the garage, and it's basically like another living room in our house.
sure.
The kids can be out there, they can make somewhat of a mess, and it doesn't matter because it's out in a garage. So yeah.
Cool, cool. And then the last one is a tip or a piece of business advice that you can share.
I don't know if I believe in the manifestation as much as some people do, but even when it does happen, I'm just like, whoa, that's weird. Like I'll be like, I need a job. I need a big job this week, and it'll happen. And it's just so weird. Like when it happens, it's like, whoa. So yeah, just if you have a positive outlook, positive vision for your business, the direction it's going, even if you're not all organized, like I'm not organized at all in the accounting side and all that.
Just focus on what you want to be a reality.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm giving you positive vibes as we move through this summer with our marquees. We will
Yep.
figure more out as we go. And yeah, it's definitely I think you are definitely renting them more than I am. You are probably also pushing them more than I am, which makes sense. Um because I feel a little bit resistant to it. It's like almost like, oh, I hope I don't have one this weekend because I'm so tired. And I feel like you just said the positive thinking. It's kind of like you attract
Yep.
what you want. So I feel like mentally I'm taking a little break from them, but I think once all events move indoors in the fall
Mhm.
and it's more like convention season around here and not so much like wedding and baby
Yeah.
showers, even though I do have quite a few of those as well. But yeah, I still need to hit my stride with it. I'm still
I
learning.
think I think I've said to you before, like in our Facebooking back and forth, I'm just like, just jump in and do it. Like you can't if you want it to be perfect, it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, a hundred
That's
percent.
another
Like
piece of business advice.
yeah, like I'm again, I'm not a perfectionist. I wasn't about to wait until I like had all the room to store them or figured out the
Yeah.
inventory system. Like you figure it out as you go because you have to.
Yep.
But I guess my words of advice for people on the fence, would you tell them to buy or to not buy?
If you're just starting out, I would say don't do it. Just focus on balloons, and you're gonna do good. But if you throw these marquees on top of it, it's you're gonna get burnt out quick probably. And
I
I
would
would
agree.
say if you're, five 5 years in or so, and have some things in place that you can take this on, then I would say it's not a bad deal.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you for catching up with us in this throwback
Yeah,
episode. I appreciate it. Thanks to Premium Conwin for supporting these episodes. And you will be getting a brand new inflator courtesy of
awesome.
them for giving us the ins and outs of this new
Yeah.
marquee adventure.
And if anyone has any like questions about them, feel free to message me
Yeah, where's the
on
best way to do that?
on Instagram or Facebook. Just go to my page at Squeak Balloon Decor, and you can just Instagram me, and I'm pretty responsive, if you will, on
Very
those.
cool.
So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we will catch up again soon.
All right.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.